The President of the United States of America, George Bush, has endorsed baseball as one of the many evolving sports disciplines which, when fully developed, can attract potential world-class athletes from Africa, especially Ghana. These sentiments were evidently clear when President Bush visited the Ghana International School as a special guest to witness a T-ball match between the Little Dragons and the Little Saints. Prior to His Excellency's visit, inroads have been made in the development of baseball in Ghana. The African Development Foundation, ADF, led by its president and founder George Ntim, in collaboration with Major League Baseball (MLB), the United States Embassy, and the USAID, has undertaken 2 momentous goodwill tours into the country to witness at first hand the baseball potential in the country. The first goodwill tour, which included the general manager of the New York Mets, Omar Minaya, Baseball Hall of Famer Dave Winfield, Bob Watson, and Reggie Smith, watched an exhibition match at the baseball field in Tema and were captivated at the skills displayed by these youngsters. With Her Excellency the U.S. Ambassador in attendance, the delegation presented some baseball equipment to the National Baseball Association to help in the introduction of the game to schools, and also pledged to put up an international baseball field at Legon. The general manager of the New York Mets, Omar Minaya, later on invited Emmanuel Boafo, Mauli Ajano, and Daniel Atiemo to Port St. Lucie in Florida to the Mets spring training camp. Daniel Atiemo later on took part in the MLB Academy program in Italy. Based on the strides that the game had achieved, coupled with the success story of the sojourn of the 3 players to Florida, a second baseball goodwill delegation led by the Vice President of MLB in charge of operations, Jimmy Lee Solomon, arrived in Ghana earlier this year to follow up on the achievements chalked so far. He was gratified to know that most schools had taken up the sport and that little league teams were also churning out huge baseball talents. Some baseball equipments were also presented to the Baseball Association. It was therefore not surprising that Jimmy Lee Solomon and George Ntim were with President Bush at the T-ball game. In separate interviews, both the ADF president and the MLB vice president shared their thoughts on what the historic visit by President Bush means for baseball and the way forward for its development. Interesting that baseball is taking its roots firmly in the nation's capital and indeed the whole of Ghana, not to even talk about West Africa. Lots of involvement from our brothers and sisters in Africa, from America, I beg your pardon, and especially the African Development Foundation. They have taken the leading role in ensuring that baseball is firmly rooted. It takes its roots deeply here in Ghana, and one person behind this has been Mr. George Ntim, who indeed has led 2 major baseball delegations to this country, and of course Ghana has benefited immensely. And for His Excellency the US Vice President also touching base with us and watching the exhibition game this afternoon, it brings a lot of food for thought, and it looks like Ghana has charted the right course when it comes to the development of baseball. Now George, tell us, after the first 2 trips, we are privileged to have had His Excellency, the President of the United States, here coming to watch T-ball this afternoon. What does it mean for all the effort that has been put into the development of baseball in Ghana?
I think for the President to be here today just to watch these kids play baseball it exemplifies the what baseball means. You know, it means teamwork for kids. You know, it brings kids together. It's education piece and all that. You know, baseball is a huge business in the States. It's a 6-something billion a year business. This is another opportunity for other kids to also pursue. You know, it's a dream that I've always had, and I think today has been one of the best days in my life for seeing the President of the United States come here, watch our kids play low league T-ball.
Well, there has been the involvement of His Excellency the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. There also has been the involvement of Her Excellency the U.S. Ambassador, and then probably the icing on the cake is His Excellency President Bush. What next? What does this signify? Where do we go from here with all these involvement?
Well, I mean, as you know, the Vice President, I cannot say more about him. He's been extremely helpful. The U.S. Ambassador has been extremely supportive. The Ministry of Sports has also been extremely helpful. And certainly the media, everywhere we go, they follow us. So now we're just hoping that we'll be able to raise some funds and build a permanent field for them so that they can have their own home. But I'm telling you, today has been a great day for all of us, and I think Ghana should be very proud for having the President of the United States be here to watch these kids play ball.
In acknowledgement of George Ntim's tremendous efforts in promoting and developing the game, President Bush, together with the ADF president, presented baseball souvenirs to the T-ball players. It is hoped that with the continued support for baseball, it will not be long when Ghana can boast of its first professional baseball player and its first baseball field. When that happens, the clarion call will be play ball.
It's declared by the Emperor.